Vinland Saga made me question everything I knew about violence. 3 years ago, I thought I understood violence. I grew up watching action movies, playing violent video games, consuming media that glorified strength and revenge. I believed that sometimes violence was not just necessary, it was righteous. I was wrong. Dead wrong. And it took a Viking warrior named Thorfinn to completely shatter everything I thought I knew about human nature, conflict, and what it truly means to be strong. By the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly how Vinland Saga doesn't just entertain, it performs surgery on your soul. But first, let me tell you about the moment that changed everything. The moment everything changed. Picture this, Episode 24, Season 1. Thorfinn, our protagonist, finally gets his chance for revenge against Askeladd, the man who killed his father when he was just a child. For 24 episodes, we've watched this kid train, fight, and sacrifice everything for this single moment. The payoff we've been waiting for. The catharsis we deserve. And then, nothing. Thorfinn gets his revenge, but instead of satisfaction, there's only emptiness. Instead of closure, there's only a hollow shell of a human being who realizes he's become everything he once hated. I'm watching this unfold, and something inside me breaks. Not just for Thorfinn, but for myself. Because I realized I had been cheering for his destruction this entire time. But here's where it gets really twisted, and why this anime is more dangerous than you think. The violence trap we all fall into. Most anime sells us a beautiful lie. Violence is a tool, and in the right hands, it's heroic. Good guys punch bad guys, justice prevails, everyone goes home happy. We're conditioned to believe violence can be clean, justified, even noble. Vinland Saga destroys that lie completely. This anime shows you the true cost of every single act of violence. Not just blood and death. That's easy. It shows how violence ripples through time, corrupting everything it touches. Thorfinn's father, Thors, was the strongest warrior alive. He could have conquered nations. Instead, he abandoned violence entirely. Watching this, I thought he was weak, naive. I thought real strength meant being able to hurt people who hurt you. I was about to learn why that thinking nearly destroyed me, and millions of others. The mirror that broke me. We don't just watch Thorfinn's journey, we are Thorfinn. How many times have you fantasized about revenge? How many times have you solved conflicts through violence in your head? How many times have you confused anger with strength? Season 2 is where real horror begins. Not gore or monsters, horror of recognition. Thorfinn becomes a slave, and in slavery, he understands something terrifying. Every act of violence was a choice. Every moment of anger was a decision. Every time he chose revenge over healing, he chose to become less human. The most terrifying episode isn't epic battles, it's episode 8 of Season 2, where Thorfinn quietly tends crops and remembers who he was before violence consumed him. I'm watching this boring episode and crying, because I'm seeing what I had lost in my own life. But there's something even more disturbing about what happens next. Something that made me question reality itself. The addiction we don't talk about. Violence isn't just physical. Vinland Saga teaches this with surgical precision. Mental violence, emotional violence, the violence we do to ourselves through hatred, it's all connected. Same poison, different doses. Thorfinn spends years addicted to revenge like people get addicted to drugs. It gives him purpose, identity, reason to exist. Without hatred of Askeladd, who is he? Without vengeance, what's his value? The anime shows how violence becomes not just a tool, but an entire worldview that eats you alive. I started recognizing this everywhere. In politics, where we demonize people who disagree. In relationships, where we weaponize pain. In self-talk, where we brutalize ourselves for mistakes. Most of us are walking Thorfinns, carrying invisible weapons that destroy our own peace. The scariest part? We call it strength. We call it justice. We call it being realistic. And that's exactly what they want us to believe. But who is they? And why does it matter? The system that profits from our anger. Vinland Saga does not just critique individual violence, it exposes how entire systems profit from our acceptance of violence as inevitable. Kings need warriors, warriors need enemies. Everyone profits except those actually fighting. Canute's transformation from idealistic prince to pragmatic king is heartbreaking. He wants to create heaven on earth, but convinces himself he needs hell's methods. Sound familiar? How many times have we justified cruelty by pointing to a cruel world? This isn't ancient history. This is right now. Every time we consume outrage content, every time we share videos of people getting hurt because they deserved it, every time we perpetuate harm because it feels righteous. But here's the plot twist that changes everything, and why most people will reject this message entirely. The choice that terrifies everyone. Season 2 presents the most radical idea in anime. You can choose to stop. You can choose to break the cycle. You can choose peace even when the world calls peace weakness. But choosing peace requires giving up the drug of righteous anger. It requires admitting your enemies are human beings, suffering like you. It requires taking responsibility for your healing instead of waiting for apologies. Thorfinn's journey from slave to free man isn't about becoming a pacifist. It's understanding that real strength comes from breaking cycles, not continuing them. Real strength is choosing love when hate would be easier. Real strength is building when destroying would be more satisfying. This terrifies people because it means taking responsibility. It means admitting we have more control over our suffering than we want to believe. The transformation that saved my life. After Vinland Saga, I started noticing violence everywhere, especially in myself. How I talked to myself, how I held grudges, how I consumed angry media, how I participated in discussions that went nowhere except deeper into hatred. I realized I had been living like Season 1 Thorfinn, addicted to conflict, defined by anger, mistaking destruction for strength. The anime didn't just entertain me, it diagnosed me. But recognition is the first step toward healing. Once you see the patterns, you can break them. Once you understand how violence corrupts everything it touches, you can touch the world differently. Vinland Saga isn't just about Vikings, it's a mirror showing who you are when nobody's watching. It's a challenge to become who you'd be if you weren't afraid of being hurt. It's an invitation to discover what strength looks like when it's not defined by causing pain. The choice is yours. So here's my challenge to you. Watch Vinland Saga not as entertainment, but as education. Pay attention to when you're rooting for violence. Notice when you're disappointed by characters choosing peace over conflict. Observe your own reactions to the story because those reactions will tell you everything you need to know about your relationship with violence. The world doesn't need more warriors. It needs more people like Thor's. People strong enough to lay down their swords. It needs more people like Thorfinn after his transformation. People who understand that the greatest battles are won not through defeating others, but through healing yourself. Vinland Saga made me question everything I knew about violence. The question is, are you brave enough to let it question you? Because once you see what I've seen, there's no going back. And honestly, that's exactly what the world needs right now.